So till now, what we have studied, we have studied the linear regression, then logistic regression or classification. Then we have studied multinomial classification or softmax regression. Okay. So there are two types of learning algorithms. One is discriminative learning algorithm, another is generative learning algorithm. So what is discriminative learning algorithm? Here till now whatever we have discussed, we are trying to find the probability of y for a given x, right? So that was our target. Our target was to find the probability of getting an y. What is y? Y is the output. In case of linear regression, that is continuous, and in case of logistic regression or classification, that is uh, discrete. Okay, but in any case, both we are trying to find the probability of y output for a given input, right? So this kind of learning is known as discriminative learning algorithm, where from the dataset we are given some y for corresponding x. We are trying to find a model or the hypothesis function, and according to the input given y, we are trying to predict the value of according to the given value of x, we are trying to find the value of y. So here for a given x, we are finding the model to predict y. That is known as discriminative learning algorithm. Okay. But in some cases, suppose we have to model or we have to predict that whether a particular email is a spam mail or not. Now check. If we say that a mail will be spam mail if there exist some words like say lottery, buy, then gift, then something like that, money. Okay, so suppose there are few words. If we find or if there is probability of existence of these words in a particular email, we will say that this is the spam mail. Now if we go for finding or doing this discriminative learning algorithm, what will happen? Suppose we are having a set of inputs where if lottery is present, then it is a spam. Okay. If buy is present, it is a spam. If gift is present, it is a spam. If money is present, it is a spam. From our previous data, we have found that if this is a spam mail, this is present. Okay. Now suppose some of your guardians or any friends or anyone wrote like this a mail to you that I have got some money from, or I have won some money from a lottery agency. I am sending some of it to you by a good pen. Now what will happen? It will go to the spam mail. Why? Because all these words are present. So if you multiply, so that means for a particular x, given x, if we want to predict the value of y, we will multiply the existence of the or the probability of the existence of these words. Obviously it will go to nearly 1. So it will classify this mail to a spam mail, though this is not a spam mail. Okay. So always it is not the easiest way to predict the value of y for a given x. So in some cases what we have to do, first we have to predict that if the output is y, that is, if this is the spam mail, what is the probability of the presence of the term lottery? So that means instead of finding probability of y for a given x, we will find the probability of x input in presence of when the y is given. Okay. Also, what is the probability that y is belongs to the true class? So instead of finding the probability of y for a given x, we are finding the probability of x for a given y and the probability of y. Now applying the Bayes theorem, probability of y for a given x, which is equals to this, we can easily find the probability of y for a given x. Okay. So by applying Bayes theorem, we can find the probability of y. Actually our target is this, but instead of directly finding this, what we are finding? We are finding. So this type of learning algorithm is known as generative learning algorithm. Okay. So previously we have discussed discriminative learning algorithms, few of them. So today we'll discuss another kind of discriminant analysis or discriminative learning, which is known as Gaussian discriminant analysis. Okay. And later we will discuss the Naive-Bayes learning. Okay. So first let us go for Gaussian discriminant analysis. So which is a discriminative learning algorithm, but there is a difference from whatever we have learned previously. Here just let me write the Gaussian discriminant analysis. See, in our previous discussion during logistic regression or classification, what we had considered, we have considered that the input variable is discrete in nature and the output is also discrete in nature. But in some cases, there may be the random variable is continuous in nature, but the output is discrete in nature. So in that case, what to do? Listen it carefully. In case of classification, what we have learned till now, our input is discrete, output is also discrete. But if the input is continuous and the output is discrete, then which classification should we use? So in that case, we will apply the Gaussian discriminant analysis model. Okay. So before that, let us just discuss some property of the Gaussian discriminant analysis. After that, we will go for that how we can apply it for learning. Okay. So here the multivariate normal distribution in n dimension, actually it is known as multivariate normal distribution. Obviously Gaussian means it is normal distribution, but it is in n dimension. Okay. Also called the multivariate Gaussian distribution, and it is parameterized by mu, which belongs to the real class of dimension n. Okay. With the covariance matrix sigma, which belongs to n cross n, that is two-dimensional matrix. Obviously, if we have to find the covariance between each of the elements, so therefore it will be a matrix of n cross n dimension. Okay, where the covariance is greater or equals to 0, is symmetric and positive semi-definite. It also denoted by the normal mu sigma. Okay, the probability density function of Gaussian discriminant analysis or multivariate Gaussian distribution is given as probability of x for given mu and sigma is equals to 1 by the same as this 2 pi. Since this is n dimensional, therefore instead of root it is n by 2. The covariance matrix is half. Okay, exponential e to the power minus half. You can just recollect your memory. X minus mu transpose inverse of the covariance matrix x minus mu. Okay, so if you want to learn that how it comes, then you have to go for some mathematical analysis which is beyond our discussion. Okay, so here the modulus of sigma denotes the determinant of the matrix sigma. Okay, so the probability density function of multivariate Gaussian distribution is defined as this, right? Now, so for any random variable x, what we can say that, and for any random variable x with or which is distributed in multivariate normal distribution or Gaussian, the mean is given by mu. Okay, and what is mu? Mu equals to the expected value of x, nothing else. So mu is the expected value of x, which is defined as the integration. Here you see not the sum, okay, not the sigma, integration x and the probability density function x mu sigma dx. This is defined. Okay, this is given. So the mu is defined as expected value of x, where this value is defined as integration of x p x mu, that is which is probability density function dx. And the covariance of a vector valued random variable z, the covariance of z is defined as covariance z, which is equals to expected value of z minus ez, right, into z minus ez transpose. All of you know that the covariance matrix is this, or you can write, if we go for some simplification here, we can write expected value of z transpose. From here we can get minus ez transpose. Okay, right. Now if x follows the normal distribution mu sigma, then covariance of x is equals to sigma, right? Okay. Now a Gaussian with zero means an identity covariance is also called standard normal distribution. Simple. So what is a standard normal distribution? From a multivariate Gaussian distribution, we can say that if mu equals to 0 mean, and the covariance matrix is the identity matrix, then we can say that it is a standard normal distribution. Okay. Now as this sigma become very larger, Gaussian becomes more spread out, that is, it will look like this. Okay, and if this covariance is smaller, then it will look like this. So the property of Gaussian is if the covariance, that is the covariance is high or spread out, not the high, spread out, then you can find that the Gaussian is, or the bell is behaving like this. So that means the data are spread out throughout, and here the data are concentrated over the mean. So that is the meaning. Okay. So sigma becomes larger, Gaussian becomes more spread out, and it becomes smaller, distribution becomes more compressed. So this is the property of Gaussian. You can easily check from any book. Okay. For further studies. Otherwise, for the learning or the machine learning, this is sufficient to know this property only. Now, if we go for applying this analysis for learning method, then how should we apply, or what will be the learning methods? Okay. So if whenever we are applying the multivariate or the Gaussian discriminant analysis, we say that it is a Gaussian discriminant analysis model. Okay. Here already we have said that in case of continuous variable, input variable, but the output is discrete. Now think about, our output is following the discrete in nature, that is, it is following the Bernoulli distribution, and our input x is following the normal distribution because it is in continuous in nature. So therefore the distributions are two different kinds, and we have to find the model. So here we will apply the Gaussian discriminant analysis model, or in short form sometimes it is known as GDA, Gaussian discriminant analysis. Okay. So since y discrete in nature, we say that it is following Bernoulli. Fine. Okay. And we are having two classes. We are considering x y equals to 0, that is belongs to a particular class. It belongs to the normal distribution. Let the mean is mu 0, and x for the class 1 n is mu 1 sigma. Okay. So therefore the distributions are probability of y equals to phi y 1 minus phi 1 minus y. Okay. And the probability of, these are the probability density function, already we have discussed this, that how it comes. And the probability of getting an x for y equals to 0, that is 0 or false class or true class, whatever you define, no problem, is equals to 1 by 2 pi n by 2 sigma half e to the power minus half. Okay. Already we have defined this. So it is x minus mu 0 transpose sigma inverse x minus mu 0. This is given. And the probability of x for class 1, another class, that is equals to 1 by 2 pi n by 2 sigma half exponential minus half x minus mu 1 transpose inverse x minus mu 1. So these two probability functions are given, PDF are given for Gaussian normal distribution. Okay. Right. So if we have these probabilities, then what will be the target? Our target is to find the likelihood function or the maximum likelihood function of these probabilities, nothing else. Okay. So what we will do, our log likelihood function will be the log likelihood function, what we can write, log likelihood of the data is given as L phi, the output. Our statistical parameters are mu0, mu1. Easily we can find from the data itself. Sigma, okay, is equals to log of pi. We are having m number of data, I equals to 1 to m. The probability of ith input, ith output, this is given from the data we are learning, okay, and phi, the hypothesis function, mu0, mu1, sigma. All are given from the data. Easily we can find all these, the mean of the 0 class, mean of the 1 class, covariance matrix, and the hypothesis function. Already you know that what is the hypothesis function for the classification, okay. So that is equals to, we can write log of this, the probability of x for a given y, okay, phi, mu0, mu1, sigma, and the probability of yi for phi, okay. So now by maximizing L with respect to the parameters, we can find the maximum likelihood, and if we go for finding this parameter, estimated parameter, we will find that phi equals to 1 by m sum of indicator function yi equals to 1. That is a particular class, true class, okay. We are finding the average value of the true class, and we can find the mu0 is equals to all the values that belongs to 0 class for a given x, the ith input, I equals to 1 to m, divided by total number of level 0, I equals to 1 to n, so that is mu0, and we can find mu1 is equals to sum of I equals to 1 to m, all the true class for I equals to 1 for a given x, ith x, divided by yi equals to 1, okay. And the covariance matrix sigma will be equals to 1 by m sum of xi minus mu y I, that is 0. If it is 0, then it is 0. Mu 0. If yi is 1, it will be mu 1. xi, that is the ith input, minus mu ith output transpose. So these are the parameters, and after finding this parameter, okay, after finding this parameter, we can easily get the classifications from this equation, okay, log likelihood. Now, is there any relationship? This is the model. These are the parameters. If we can find these values, easily we can say that in which class it belongs to, okay. Is there any relationship between the GDA and logistic regression? Yes. If we view the quantity, that the probability of y equals to 1 for a given x, phi, mu 0, mu 1, and epsilon as a function of x. See, if we find the probability of a particular class for a given x as a function of x, it can be expressed as like this: probability of a class for a given x phi mu 0 mu 1 and epsilon, which can be expressed as 1 plus e to the power minus theta transpose x, and this is the hypothesis function of the logistic regressions. Okay, so from the GDA we can find the logistic regression also, right? So this is all about GDA, that is Gaussian discriminant analysis.